How's everybody doing today? Well, thank you for coming to see me today. Last week we talked about turkeys because we're getting ready for a special day this week. Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a great day that we can all find the things in our lives to say thank you for. We can say thank you for your moms and dads, thank you for your family, thank you for your food, your house, your friends, your pets, and all the wonderful things that you like to do. There's a lot of things to say thank you for. You can go ahead and, if you want to say some names, we'll say hello to everybody and get started today. But yes, we are talking about Thanksgiving this week. Now the holidays season has begun, and we have Thanksgiving, and then we have Christmas. It's going to be a little different this year. Hi Everett, hi Lydia, thanks for coming back to see me. It'll be a little different this year. We'll talk about how things are a little different, but that we can still celebrate the holidays, especially finding the things to say thank you for in your life. So I'm going to share these stories with you, and they may be a little different this year than what's in the story, but that's okay. We're still going to share the story for fun. The first one I want to share with you is a fun pop-up book, a snappy little book. This is Snappy Little Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving Day is here at last. It's time to celebrate. There'll be so much fun, and Rabbit just can't wait. Boom. Did you see him wake up? Watch here, the sun comes up when he wakes up. Boom. The preparations have begun, and Moose is working hard. He sweeps the pile of fallen leaves gathered in his backyard. You may have seen Mom and Dad cleaning up leaves in their yard by using a rake or a broom and putting them in the bags. It's chaos in the grocery store. Everywhere she goes, Flamingo fills up her shopping cart until it overflows. People are buying lots of things at the grocery store, and there's all kinds of people going different places. Maybe you'll go with Mom when she buys groceries. The visitors are flying in from places far and wide. They love to spend this special day with loved ones by their side. These are all the family people coming to visit from a plane. Now, it may be a little different this year because we can't have that many visitors this year because of everything that is going on to stay safe. But it's still fun to talk about the relatives coming to visit. I like the baby kangaroo. Watch, he'll come in and out of the pouch. He goes, peek. Out in the orchard, Bear collects the apples from a tree, but as they fall, he gives out a call and says, "Hey, watch out for me!" Boom. You see the apple hit him on the head? Boom. Raccoon has set the table so everything will fit, but now there's too much to feast upon and there's nowhere to sit. We made a lot of food. The kitchen is the place to be for keeping nice and warm as Hippo and his little friend are cooking up a storm. Every time I show this picture, I always wonder, would you want your meal cooked by a skunk? I don't know, it looks like he's a pretty good helper though. Football games are great to watch throughout Thanksgiving Day, but apple bobbing is much more fun and anyone can play. You don't see people play this game a lot anymore, but it was a game where they would fill the water in a tub with apples, and then someone would try to get it out just by using their mouth, like the flamingo just did. The Snappy Town Parade will be an extra special treat for everyone to come and see before it's time to eat. A parade can come through the town and have bands and floats and lots of people and big balloons. Now you can watch this very special parade on TV. It's called the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. It'll be a little different this year, but they are still doing a broadcast, so you could broadcast means it's on TV. That you can watch it on TV and see all the special things, including Sesame Street and some other favorite characters. The table's set, the feast is cooked, the guests all give a cheer. It's time for us to give our thanks for all we've had this year. Aww. So they have a lot to be thankful for, and to say thank you. We have some more friends to say hello to. Hi Easton, hi Crystal, hi Van, hi Daisy. I'm so glad you guys come to see me every week. Well, I want to share another story with you. It's called Thanksgiving at Our House. I'm glad for Thanksgiving. It's a wonderful day to count all the blessings and friends that bring our way. First, there's my family. We're friends, tried and true. And every Thanksgiving, our friendship shines through. We nibble on pancakes as we watch the parades. We dress up like pilgrims and Indian braves. And we like to pitch in with the Thanksgiving meal, from carrying berries to carting off peels. And we keep a close eye on the whipped cream and pie. Then come my playmates, what a wonderful crew, oh, of happy companions, and so comical too. We like to go hiking in the brisk morning breeze. We dive into piles of colorful leaves. And sooner or later, we're certain to play a game of touch football, running every which way. And when we're all done, we collapse from the fun. Then I have neighbors, my friends on our street. We usually bring them some treats they can eat. It's warming to see how they light up and smile, then invite us inside to chat for a while. But with eyes on the clock, we go back down the block. And soon come my relatives, great friends one and all. Happy Thanksgiving, we cheerfully call. Then our living room reels with hilarious squeals till we race to our places for the Thanksgiving meal. And it never is long before we break into song. Later that day, as we're saying goodbye, there's one final friend who catches my eye. My trusty dog, Rusty, is sitting at my feet, impatiently waiting for a Thanksgiving treat. But I know he's been fed, and I pet him instead. Yes, Thanksgiving offers some wonderful ways to appreciate friendships that brightens our day. So I'm grateful for blessings and that just never end, but mostly I'm thankful for all of my friends. I am very thankful for you. I'm very thankful that you come to see me today and listen to these stories, and I love to share them with you. Hi, Luciella. I have another story I want to share with you. Now, you'll hear Mr. Cox say this a lot. This is one of my favorite stories to share with you, but guess what? This is one of my favorite stories to share with you. It's one of my favorite Thanksgiving stories. It's called Thanksgiving at the Tappletons. Now, this is a book that's by Eileen Spinelli, and illustrated by Marianne Coco Leffler, excuse me. Thanksgiving at the Tappletons. Thanksgiving at the Tappletons was always a big day. Thanksgiving at the Tappleton meant, of course, the Tappleton family. Mr. and Mrs. Tappleton, Jenny and Kenny Tappleton, and grandmother and grandfather Tappleton, and Aunt Hedda and Uncle Fritz, and most certainly, of course, the turkey and all the trimmings. It was still dark when Mrs. Tappleton lit the oven and took the big turkey out of the refrigerator. Just then, someone knocked on the door. It was Mike the milkman. Good morning, Mrs. Tappleton. I thought you might like some eggnog for the holiday. As Mrs. Tappleton reached for the eggnog, the turkey slipped from under her arm. Now, on a warmer day, this might have not been a problem, but this was Thanksgiving Day, and it was quite cold, and the step was covered with ice. before she or Mike could even think the turkey had slithered into the yard. "Get it!" shouted Mrs. Tappleton. Mike reached out, but the turkey skidded past him through the gate and into the street. "Hurry!" screamed Mrs. Tappleton. "Stop that turkey!" The milkman chased the turkey. Mrs. Tappleton chased the milkman, and the turkey slid down the hill and into the pond. Plop, splash, it bubbled out of sight. When Mr. Tappleton came down to breakfast, he took a long sniff. "Hey, I don't smell turkey," he said to his wife. "Well, of course you don't smell turkey," she replied. You have a cold." "I don't have a cold," he insisted. Mrs. Tappleton shook some pepper in the air, and her husband sneezed. "See," she said, "you do have a cold." After breakfast, Mr. Tappleton put on his coat and scarf and hat and gloves. "I'm going to the bakery to buy our pies." Mrs. Tappleton handed him his boots. "Wear these," she said. "I know for a fact that it is quite slippery out today." Sim's Bakery was so crowded the line reached out into the sidewalk. Mr. Tappleton hated to wait in long lines, so he went to the diner for a cup of coffee. By the time he got back, the long line was gone. But so were the pies. No pumpkin, no mince, no rhubarb, nothing. Mr. Tappleton was afraid to go home with nothing. 2 boxes tied up with string, please," he said. Mrs. Sims stared at him. "You mean you want 2 empty boxes?" "That's right." "Well, my, they feel light," remarked Mrs. Tappleton. "Certainly they are right," retorted Mr. Tappleton. "Mrs. Sims prides herself on how light her pies are." Mrs. Tappleton set the table, and she called to her son. "Kenny, you can make the salad. There's lettuce in a crisper and carrots and radishes, too." Kenny's face grew pale. Just yesterday he emptied the crisper and fed all the vegetables to the rabbits in Mr. Butterworth's class. How could he tell his mother? He couldn't. So he covered the empty bowl with aluminum foil and stuck it back in the refrigerator. When the others went to pick up the relatives at the train station, Jenny stayed behind to mash the potatoes. Every year this was her job, and she loved it. This year, she thought, "I'll make them even better. I'll use the blender." Just as Jenny flicked on the switch, the phone rang. It was her best friend, Nora. Now, if there's one thing that Jenny loves to do better than mashed potatoes, it was talk. Jenny talked and talked and talked and talked and talked until Nora, and she might still be talking today, had not a wet glump of something hit her in the back of the head. She turned to see what it was, and splat! Another glump hit her in the face. The blender was going wild, and mashed potatoes was flying everywhere. Without even saying goodbye to Nora, Jenny hung up the phone, scrubbed her face, and wiped mashed potatoes from nearly everything in the kitchen. She finished just as the others came back. Uncle Fritz patted his stomach. "I'm hungry," he said. Grandfather Tappleton laughed. "I'm as hungry as an elephant." Everyone sat down at the table. It was a Tappleton tradition for the grandmother to say the Thanksgiving prayer. "As soon as the turkey is ready," she smiled. "I'm as hungry as 2 elephants," said Grandfather. Mr. Tappleton went to the oven. "I'll carve the turkey now." He opened the oven door. Was there a turkey inside? The turkey is gone! Mr. Tappleton searched on the table and under the table and every kitchen cabinet. He looked through the sink and into the broom closet. "I can't find the turkey anywhere!" Mrs. Tappleton took a deep breath, and she told them how their fine turkey had slipped out the door and down the steps and across the yard and through the gate and down the street and plop, splash, into the pond. "So much for the turkey," said Uncle Fritz, and his stomach rumbled a little louder. "Never mind," said Aunt Hannah good-naturedly. "We'll fill up on the trimmings." "I'll get the salad," Jenny announced. "Then Grandmother can say the prayer." Jenny set the bowl on the table and peeled off the aluminum foil. Everyone stared at the salad that was not there. "I fed the rabbits at school," confessed Kenny. Uncle Fritz looked downright gloomy. "So much for the salad," and his stomach rumbled again. "I'm as hungry as 3 elephants," sighed Grandfather. Kenny jumped up. We'll have Jenny's mashed potatoes. He brought the pot from the kitchen and he lifted the lid. I was on the phone, said Jenny meekly, and the blender went wild. So much for the potatoes, Uncle Fritz's stomach rumbled even more. I'm as hungry as 4 elephants, Grandfather declared. The pies, cried Mrs. Tappleton. I'll get the pies. I'll say grace as soon as the pies are cut, Grandmother smiled. Mrs. Tappleton brought in the boxes, sat them down, and untied the string. You brought home 2 empty boxes? She glared at Mr. Tappleton, who covered his ears. 5 elephants, groaned Grandfather. The dining room was quiet. Everyone looked down at the empty table. Uncle Fritz muttered something, but it could not be heard above the rumble of his stomach. A tear rolled down Jenny's cheek. No Thanksgiving dinner, she sniffled. Nothing to say a prayer for, sighed Kenny. Grandmother smiled. Of course there is something. There is more to Thanksgiving than a turkey and trimmings. And then Grandmother Tappleton asked everyone to bow their heads and to hold hands around the dining room table. And this is the Thanksgiving prayer. She said, Turkeys come and turkeys go, and trimmings can be lost, we know. But we're together. That's what matters, not what's served upon the platters. Well, that was a wonderful prayer, said Aunt Hedda. Mrs. Tappleton jumped up. We have liverwurst and cheese in a refrigerator. I'll fix the sandwiches, offered Mr. Tappleton. Jenny wiped her tears away. I'll get the pickles, Kenny laughed, and I'll open a jar of applesauce for dessert. And so the Tappletons had their Thanksgiving dinner after all. Uncle Fritz's stomach stopped rumbling, and Grandfather Tappleton ate enough liverwurst to feed 6 elephants. In fact, everyone had plenty to eat, but most of all, they had each other. Thanksgiving at the Tappletons. Hi, Caitlin. Hi, Collier. Thank you for coming today. So today is our Thanksgiving Day one, and this Thursday's Thanksgiving, and maybe you'll have some good things to eat that day as well. Now next week, we're getting closer to another holiday. The holiday that comes after Thanksgiving is Christmas. That's right. And Christmas is a very special time of year. And normally, there'll be some things that are different this year. And one of the things that's going to be different, and then you can help me out with this, is I am going to video chat with Santa Claus. Now, you at home, you can ask questions for Santa. We will be going live, but it's probably better if you send me the questions and things you want to ask Santa ahead of time. You could send those to my email address, which is ccox@mcpls.org. That's my first initial, my last name, Marion County Public Library System.org. So send me those questions and put Santa Chats as the subject, moms and dads, help everybody out. And then I will have those questions to share with Santa Claus next Wednesday is our first one. I believe that is the 2nd, December the 2nd. Let's get you a date here real quick. December the 2nd, that is correct. So join us here, the same way we would for story time at 10:30, and I will call Santa Claus, and you'll be able to see me talking to Santa Claus via chat, and we can talk to Santa Claus then. So until then, thank you for being good listeners. Thank you for letting me share these books with you. But most of all today, and always, thank you for letting me spend this time with you today. But most of all today, thank you so much for coming today and spending this time with me. Thank you for letting me be a small part of your life. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.